Long ago, the War of the Magi reduced the world to a scorched wasteland, and magic simply ceased to exist. 1,000 years have passed. Iron, gunpowder, and steam engines have been rediscovered, and high technology reigns. But there are those who would enslave the world by reviving the dread, destructive power known as magic. Can it be that those in power are on the verge of repeating a senseless and deadly mistake? Final Fantasy VI!
Hey everyone, and welcome to Square Roots, the classic RPG podcast. My name is Jim Banks. I am joined by Matthew Van Zant.
Heyo.
John the Returner Brandon.
I'm returning.
And Vanessa.
I'm Vanessa.
Guys, I'm really excited tonight because we're starting Final Fantasy VI.
Freaking finally, am I right?
I know, we're peaking right now, I think. This is as good as we're ever going to get.
Mm-hmm.
The most requested, most desired. It's time for us to
after
peak,
this,
we're doing it right now.
Yeah, we're playing stuff that nobody's ever heard of after
It's true.
this. Just exclusively.
You will note that our audience is basically made of snobs who like this game far better than 7.
Myself included.
I know. I'm just joking, but it's true.
When 7 came out, I heard all about it. They were like, oh my god, it's the best Final Fantasy. I'm like, wow, it must be so good. And then I played it, and I was like, nah.
What is
No opera scene? No, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have referenced before, just a moment ago, that I've played this game before, and we know that Jim and Matt have as well, but it's John's first time.
That is a lie.
John's first time. John's a little baby, fresh eyes. John's first time.
John, it's
He's
well
a Final
established
Fantasy VI virgin.
Square Roots canon that you have never played Final Fantasy VI.
But it's a
Just admit it,
It's
John.
a lie.
God.
I think
so
even
tired of
after
your
we
lies.
finish this series, I'm still going to say that all the time.
Then I just watched some Let's Play or something, and that's
Yeah. We just recreated your voice from other past episodes to contribute to the game.
that's not true, Jim.
But I'm getting ahead of myself. What is this, Jim?
This is a podcast where we play and talk about classic RPGs one chunker at a time.
Oh.
This chunker is Final Fantasy VI, and we're going to talk about from the opening of the game to the arrival at the Returner's base. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, probably.
But before we do that, let's talk about how we leveled up this past week.
Oh.
Anybody have anything good? Anybody want to kick us off?
Sure.
Go ahead, John.
I went to a strongman competition as a
You
audience
won a
member.
strongman competition?
I did not, because those people are very, very strong, and I am a not strong person.
You're strong.
Well-
you can lift your own weight in flour bags.
It's true. I can do that. But these guys are like carrying 500 pounds for their farmer's walk, and I can't do that. That's a lot. That's bonkers. They're like picking up a 325-pound cement ball and putting it over like a post, which looks very hard. And they're doing all sorts of crazy things. And there was, well, I say guys, it's a mix of men and women. And there were some very strong women and men and people there. It was.
So it's a strong person competition.
It really is. It really is. And it was, the funny thing was, this was going on in the parking lot of the Hard Rock Casino in Coquitlam, British Columbia. At the same time, there was a Vancouver Fitness Expo going on with like bodybuilders and sort of like the not strongmen type, more the like perfect body, 0% fat people with like bronzer on. We're all walking around. It was a very weird mix because they are two separate groups. People confuse the two.
Did they get into a fight?
No, but there's a lot more fat people in the strongmen group than there are in the 0% body fat group.
And yet, I bet the strong men could beat up the 0%ers.
Well, I don't know. Everyone was super nice. No one was aggro at all.
I didn't say they would. I'm just saying they
Why you gotta make it
could.
about violence, Vanessa? Jesus.
The guy that
Because-
was
Just because there's a bunch of strong dudes walking around doesn't mean they're gonna fight, Vanessa. For your hand in marriage. Hey!
That is exactly what I'm getting at. There's only one way I know how to evaluate a man's worth, and it is his ability to best his rivals in physical combat for my hand.
Now, I would never stoop to objectifying anyone. However, the host of the event, who is like the leader of the BC Strongmen, is this guy named Chris, and he has a beard like Torbjorn from Overwatch, and
Ooh.
he is the most adorable person I've ever seen.
Aww.
Did you kiss him?
No, he's like married to a lady.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's what I did. And Matthew, what did you do? How did you level up?
I started playing Far Cry 5. It's about crazy white supremacist-ish religious people in Montana getting all Jesus chose me, and I don't know. I got to shoot some stuff. I got a dog, and it lets me pet the dog, and
Yay.
that's all I care about. I can pet the dog. Why? This is a new trend in modern gaming. Guys, let's talk about this newest trend in modern gamings. Why able to pet animals, and is it the best?
Well, what was that game called? Fable 2.
Don't you fucking come in and me, John. Don't actually me, John.
Fable 2 had
Don't actually, John.
lots of petting dogs in 2008. That was a pioneer, harnessing the power of the Xbox to let you pet some dogs.
Finally.
What is this fidgety, clompy noise? Was that Matt?
That was Matthew drumming on his table.
Oh, he was infuriated. Last night I was playing a game called Heavy Rain, and I got a trophy called Good Father because I pet my kid properly.
Ugh.
Wait, no,
What?
because I made him a snack and sent him to bed.
Why are you playing all these David Cage games?
Because they're all free on the PlayStation Plus.
Hey, Jim, you're going to learn all about that when you edit this week's Level Up episode.
Aww.
Anyway, between this and Zelda, and I want to say there was one other game I played recently that came out recently where you could, like, pet your pet. It makes me like the game so much because I'll kill a dude and then I'll turn around and be like, but you're a good dog, though. Oh, you're giving me kisses. He gives you little doggy kisses. It's the best. Better than having a real dog.
Does Zelda have
Anyway.
a dog?
You can pet your horse.
Oh.
And you can it'll get all happy and it'll get little hearts above its head and it's
Aw.
like it gives you like the best little feeling. It's terrible. These games have really learned how to manipulate
Big
me.
O hoof dog.
Mm-hmm. And in Far Cry, you can get a bigger clawed dog, aka a bear, named Cheeseburger.
Ooh, cheeseburger bear.
Haven't gotten there yet. All right, Vanessa,
Yeah.
how did you level up?
I saw a movie called Incredibles 2.
Ooh, was it incredible too?
It was fine.
Alright.
The opening Pixar short made me cry.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Are you a robot?
Are you asking because you feel that I should have been more moved by Incredibles 2 than to just think that it was fine?
Yes.
I'm not really interested in Mr. Incredible's existential crisis. I don't have a lot of patience for it these days.
Jim, can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about Incredibles 1?
It's fine. It's fine.
That's how I feel about it, so now I feel like maybe if I see Incredibles 2, I'll love it.
John, how do you feel about Incredibles 1?
I did not like Atlas Shrugged as a book, and I don't like it as a
That's
children's
right.
cartoon.
This is the hottest take.
John, what did you call it in our host chat?
Libertarian
you said
propaganda.
Libertarian propaganda. Oh, that's something.
I got all the hot takes today. I'm feeling real
Yeah.
I
spicy.
need to rewatch it again to learn about all that objectivism.
Mhm. And then you'll go to Tomorrowland, which is the next movie about Galt's Gulch.
Galt's
Gulch?
Galt's
That's a
Gulch.
terrible name.
Goops Gooch.
Someday one
There's,
of us is going to go Galt on this podcast, but I don't know which one it's going to be.
Ooh.
You would
There's
think
an
it's
area-
me, but you would be wrong.
There's an area in western Kansas where somebody took it upon themselves to like over all of the street, not street signs, but like highway signs. They spray painted "Who is John Galt" over a bunch of them off the interstate. That person doesn't have any friends.
All right. Well, that's how I leveled up. And that's all of us.
No,
Jim
No,
didn't
except
go.
for Jim.
I
Sorry,
haven't
Jim.
gone yet.
I mean, do we really? Doesn't matter. Let's just do it.
No, Jim.
Quest
Ah,
Mog.
Jim.
I mean, I did a
Alright.
thing.
Jim,
I actually did a
guess.
thing
Jim,
kind of
Jiminy,
almost worth
Jim,
talking about.
Jiminy, Jim,
Oh,
Jim,
well,
Jerry.
almost talk about it
Jimroo.
then.
Well, I went to the Dallas stop of the final run of the Vans Warped Tour.
Whoa.
Which is
Who
like-
cares?
It's like a
Rude.
punk rock music festival that was really cool in 2003 when I went. And boy, it did not age well.
Aw, but you got to see
Aw,
Bowling
I
for
felt-
Soup, and they're fun.
I mean, yeah, Bowling for Soup was okay. Of the bands that I saw, I missed the Real Big Fish set by like 5 minutes because I couldn't find
Aw.
their stage.
wow, is it the same lineup as like 2003 Vans Warped Tour?
No, they picked a bunch of people who had been on there like in its heyday.
Okay.
But there were some newer ones that I've never heard of, like 90% of the bands there. But I saw, I wanted to see Real Big Fish, missed them. I saw Bowling for Soup. I saw The Used. I saw Senses Fail.
Oh, you just gave me
Um,
I got tingles. Some of my favorite
Yeah.
bands. One Bowling for Soup's not one of them.
I felt really embarrassed during the Senses Fail set because they played like 3 of their songs and they did okay. And then they did like this medley of early 2000s rock songs. And it went like, they played like some Rage Against the Machine. They played a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And then they went into a couple Limp Bizkit songs.
Ooh.
And I was like, yikes.
That's kind of fun, though.
That's embarrassing. But overall, it was good. It rained like most of the time that I was there, so everybody was wet and smelled really bad, and that part wasn't fun.
That sounds authentic, though.
Yeah, it was fine. But yeah, I was glad to leave when it was over.
Did you try to set me up with the singer and guitarist from Bowling for Soup like I asked?
I did. I threw a bunch of rocks on stage with notes with your phone number attached to
Oh,
them.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Can I tell you guys a weird story about Census
Yeah.
Fail?
Sure.
I don't want to sound insensitive to people's religions, so I'm going to tell it very bare bones. I went to a Census Fail concert with a friend who is part of a local religion that is local to Clearwater that some people consider a crazy cult, and other people just consider a scam. It's called Scientology. He and I were pretty good friends, and we still are in contact on Facebook. He's a good dude. And his wife really felt like what he needed to do was to take a bag of his religious material and try to get it to the lead singer of Census Fail because she felt like he really needed some help.
Mm.
And we got to the concert. His wife drove us out there. Very nice. And we got to the concert, and we got out of the car, and we were walking in, and he looked at me, and he looked at the bag, and he said, "What do I do with this?" And I said, "Put it in the fucking garbage, dude." And he did. The end.
That's a good story.
I felt like I had a little mini celebrity encounter because I took a selfie with my niece who was there, and she tagged Census Fail in the post on Instagram, and 2 of the band members liked it.
Nice.
Nice.
Yay.
I don't know that I could still listen. Like, I don't know if that Senses Fail would hold up. Have you tried listening to it outside of a concert, Jim?
Yeah, a couple of their songs are okay. Many of them are not.
I don't know that it would hold up as well.
I am not angsty enough anymore for most of that music.
I went through a big used phase like 6 months ago where I was just re-listening to all of it again and was like, oh yeah, this is still really good. But I don't think that any of the rest of that genre is going to hold up.
They're kind of the best of the bunch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was fine. There were a lot of just really gross and rude people there.
Do tell.
Like one thing, like if you're in a crowd at a music festival and you get tired of walking, don't just stop in the middle of the crowd flow and sit down.
What?
There were so many people doing that.
What is
Just like be like, I'm not gonna walk anymore. Better sit down.
No.
Like in the middle of this crowd of like 5,000 people.
That's so stupid.
Just walk a little further, man. There's some chairs over there.
Yeah, that's not how you human.
That was a big bummer.
I've done the festival shows, and I don't have any desire to ever do one again.
Ooh, it's so gross. There was, and then like people would just like drink too much and then throw up in the middle of the crowd, and just nope. You know what? I'm too old for that. I've aged out of my music festival experiences.
I think 30 is really that's when it just clicks and suddenly it's no fun anymore.
Yeah.
I knew that I was too old when like 30 minutes after I got there, all that I cared about was finding a comfortable place to sit down.
Two of my very good friends went to a Leonard Skinner concert last night, and I was encouraged and invited to go, and I did not go because, no way. Nope. Not gonna do it. The end.
You don't like Skinner?
I mean, I like Freebird as well as anyone, but no, I'm not gonna go spend like 6 hours getting to this stadium to see Leonard Skinner. I'm old.
You know what's perfect for people in their 30s? Live podcast recordings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, come to this theater with a bunch of people you probably know or are predisposed to like and enjoy something for 2 hours and then go home.
Into live podcast recordings.
Mm-hmm.
That is just my kind of wild. Like the
I've
kind
never been
where
to
you
one.
applaud, but you don't stand up. Like, there's no reason to stand through a whole live podcast recording. That would just be silly.
Yeah.
You have a comfortable seat. You can sit with your good internet pals. It's great.
There was also like a metal band that played before the Senses Fail show, and they were the most emo of everybody because they would play a terrible metal song where they screamed into the microphone, and then the guy would take a break and be like, man, my life is so terrible and I have so many regrets. And then he'd do another song that sounded exactly the same, and then he'd come on and be like, my biggest regret is I was out having a blast and my mom died at the same time and I can't forgive myself. And then he'd play another terrible song, and then he'd come on and be like, man, the world is so fucked up and politics are so terrible and people are okay, I'm going to play this next song, and it would sound exactly like the song from before. And that
What
went
was
on
the
forever.
name of the band? I'm so curious.
Kubla Khan was the name of the band.
Sounds
That's sort
familiar,
of
actually.
what it was like when I saw Smash Mouth. But Smash Mouth was a free show.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I feel young and hip because I heard a new single today by the XX called Basic Space, and I was like, I like this new song that I've never heard before. I'm going to listen to it and then listen to it on Spotify again because it's really cool.
Yeah, that happened to me a while ago. I heard a new song and I was like, I like this song. Maybe I'm young and hip. And then I looked up who did it, and it was Lindsey Buckingham.
The only new music that I find myself enjoying and it's rare that I bother listening to new stuff, but if I find somebody that's like a new artist, it's always like hip hop, basically. Like if hip hop will catch my ear, like a new
Me too.
ASAP or a new Gucci, or I've been listening to a guy named Post Malone.
Oh, yeah.
It's really good. But
Hey, there's a funny story about Post Malone. He played a concert in Dallas, and apparently somebody got to meet him, and he smelled so bad that this guy vomited.
Oh.
Yeah, he looks like a real piece of shit. But I don't
He
care
does.
because his music's real good.
Mm-hmm.
But like if I hear like modern rock bands, or even like almost always new music from old rock bands, other than a few good exceptions, I'm like, eh.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can stop talking about this probably pretty soon, but
Yeah, we probably should.
Yeah.
the one band that I consistently like their music when it comes out, because it's always really good, is Spoon.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
Spoon,
Yeah.
That Hot
Spoon
Thoughts
is an
a good
incredibly
song.
consistent and awesome
Hot
band.
thoughts
Yeah.
spread through my
This
mind.
is
You get your...
On the nerdy end of that spectrum, there's a new Coheed and Cambria album coming out in like 3 months. And I'm
Ooh,
really
yeah,
excited
I
because they're
know.
always really good.
Julio,
Except for the
they're
last
always
one was
really good.
really bad, but I don't care. This one looks like it's going to be really good.
The last one was fine.
I didn't like it.
It was okay.
Julio really wants to go to that.
Yeah, they were here last night, and I wanted to go so bad.
It was like
You
$65
said-
a ticket though, which is a little much.
to go see Coheed.
Yeah,
I have no
Ooh.
friends that would go see Coheed with me anyway,
I'd
so
go
it's like,
see.
what's the point?
I like the Beast.
Listen,
of
they're
Ireland.
coming-
I'll
I got-
go with you.
Yeah, you live in British Columbia. I got Coheed last night. Nobody's going with me to that. I got Mabim Bam's going to be here in like 3 months, and I got nobody going to that with me. And I got Mystery Science Theater 3000 tour, which Jonah Ray and what's his fuck, the original guy, Mike, no,
Joel.
Jed,
Joel.
no,
Joel.
Joel is going to be at, and I think that's in Fort Lauderdale. Who's going to go with that? Go to me with that? Nobody.
Why don't you take your children? That's what children are for.
They're not old enough really for that. I
Yeah,
think.
they're not old enough for that.
That's like a teenager.
I had to set the parental locks on their fucking tablets today.
Oh.
Mm.
All right, let's
Anyway.
get to the game. Everyone's been super excited for us to play.
Yeah,
What are
I
we
think
calling
we've
the quest log
tormented
this
them
time?
enough by...
Are we calling it the Final Fantasy VI log?
No.
Are we calling it the Sabin's sabbatical?
No.
Are we calling it Terra's Tales?
Ooh, I like that, but
No.
no.
Are we calling it the Quest Mog?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there we
The
go.
Quest Mog.
Quest
Kupo. Kupo.
All right, so game opens with some text that Vanessa was kind enough to read for us in her opening, but essentially we learned that 1,000 years ago, the War of the Magi destroyed the world and magic went away. And now people are, it's like a steampunk world now. And people are thinking that magic might come back, question mark.
Ooh. But people would never
And then-
repeat that mistake, would they?
Well, let's ask the scroll. It seems like people
never
might.
make mistakes twice.
Well, it does lead into, as soon as that text appears, that's right when Biggs and Wedge and Terra walk in their robot mech suits in the snow.
Yeah. In a great opening, you
Mhm.
got Biggs and Wedge, two dudes just doing their job, mecking around.
I think their job
And-
is exposition, right?
Yeah, their job is exposition.
Mhm.
And they got a lady with them.
Mm-hmm.
And they sort of talk about her like she is not there,
Mm-hmm.
which is not a cool
They
thing to do.
call her
for
a.
men.
They call her a sorceress.
Yes.
Well, they call her a witch, too. I think it depends on the translation.
Oh, mine said
I think
sorceress.
they called her a witch in mine.
Yeah,
I
I think
think.
mine said witch as well. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
What are you playing on? That we should probably establish this first.
Oh yeah, I'm on the Vita.
Ooh, okay, that would be the Super Nintendo translation then.
Yeah, which I believe is sorceress heavy.
Yes, because they didn't want to get political by using the term witch.
Yeah.
Matthew, how are you playing Final Fantasy VI?
I am playing the dreaded iOS port.
Ooh,
Hmm.
Vanessa?
I also played the iOS port. But I have played the Super Nintendo version more than once.
Well, believe me or not, I have almost finished the Super Nintendo version. I got to the last dungeon and then quit for some reason. I don't remember why. And I've played it again and again, never finishing it. Now I'm playing the Game Boy Advanced version with the new translation. And I also have a patch that puts in a restored music, so it's basically samples of the Super Nintendo music that sounds okay, but there's a little bit of hiss to it. I'm playing it on the Retron.
Hmm.
Ooh.
Hmm.
Matthew, what about you? What are you playing it on?
You need to fucking open up your ears tonight, bro.
He's already said
Oh,
it.
did you say it already?
Jesus
My bad.
Christ. What a piece of shit.
Yikes. All right, so Biggs and Wedge refer to her as a witch and say she melted 50 soldiers. So she's
Dope.
got some crazy powers.
Yeah, she got some mad juice.
But she can't do anything now because they put some kind of a slave crown on her. And so she lost all free will.
Yeah, it's just some guys who found a powerful woman and enslaved her. No big deal.
Well, I don't think those two did.
Nah, they're part of the system that did. Don't make excuses for Biggs and Wedge.
They're part of it.
Is Biggs and Wedge a Star Wars reference?
It is. Wedge
That's
Antilles
dumb.
and Biggs.
That's dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't Wedge Antilles not actually in any of the movies?
No, he
What?
is. He survives the first one and he's in the third one. Well, okay, sorry. Survived the fourth one and he survives the sixth one.
Biggsy, can't you
Isn't
see
he the one they made all those
sometimes
X-Wing
you'll make
Rogue
books
some
about?
Squadron?
tells me.
Yeah.
Rogue Squadron?
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought that the main character of those had nothing to do, was never actually in the movies.
No, he was. He was.
Just like referenced by name or something.
Captain
Well,
Wedge
you thought
Antilles.
wrong.
Well, you thought wrong.
No,
Anyway.
I didn't. I didn't think
Jabba
about
the
it at all.
Wonga.
So, Biggs and Wedge. Yeah.
So they explain that an Esper has been discovered in a mine in this town, in this village, and we're supposed to go into the village and recover the Esper.
Question.
Yeah.
If green hair girl sorceress, why magicite armor mech?
Magitech.
I think she's like powering it. That's why she's got all these crazy abilities in hers.
Mm-hmm.
Does she?
Yeah, it's like siphoning out her magic to power all three of them.
Oh, wait, no. There are magicite armors all over the place in this game.
Magitech?
Man, whatever, dude.
It's
There are
Magitech.
fucking
Say it
Final
right.
Fantasy mechs.
Listen, if we don't correct you, one of our fucking listeners will.
There are mechs, there are Gundams all over this game, and Terra is not around for most of that, so
I don't know.
that doesn't make sense.
Well,
But her
Next
suit
theory,
does have special
Vanessa.
powers that the other suits do not.
Now, does the suit have special powers, or does she just have access to spells?
well, there's like Bioblast or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And heal Ray.
Okay, that makes sense. Vanessa,
Yeah.
good explanation.
Well,
Moving
thanks.
on.
I think it's basically exactly what John said, but I'll take the
No.
credit.
John's was wrong and bad.
So Jeremy Parrish says that this town is called Narshe, which just seems wrong. But apparently,
Narshe?
Who's Jeremy Parrish?
He's just a games writer I like. But
I called it, and I would refer to it as Narshe in my mind.
me too. But apparently,
Yeah,
it's what the Japanese version is. So apparently, it's correct.
Huh,
It
okay.
sounds dumb.
I know somebody that can probably set us straight on that one.
Yeah, a Brian.
If he got a
Pitt.
script.
I always thought of
I'm
it
sure he
as
found a script for
Narshe.
this one.
Interesting.
Ooh.
Split the difference.
I always thought of it as Nairsh.
I called it Narshe.
Koopo.
Well, they're marching towards Narshe, and
Yeah.
then we get our credits.
We get this is actually a really cool opening credit sequence. I thought it was super cinematic and cool.
What does it look like on the phone?
It looks the exact same, except everything's smooth.
Oh, okay.
Well, the sprites are different.
Man, those sprites in the updated version are shit.
They
Yeah.
look like
I'm glad I don't have to look at them.
Yeah, they look like Precious Moments dolls.
They do. They do. They're like featureless, weird cherub-looking things.
With the big schmoopy eyes.
It's funny
Yeah.
because other than that, everything else in the game in the update is very pretty, and I really like it. And I just don't understand why they have to have these shitty looking character sprites. Like, dude, fix
They
it.
stand
Square.
out so
Fix it.
much compared to everything else. They look so weird in the game. Strange. Anyways, we go to
Yeah.
the village, and I guess we didn't tell them that we're coming because everybody wants to fight us, and we kill everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems to be the Empire's MO.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
So we go and we kill some villagers and their puppers.
Aw. And some wolfmen villagers who turn into mammoths.
What's up with that?
Don't
Yeah, what is up with
know.
that? Hey, that's the same sprite for the Wolfman espers that we meet later on.
Is it?
Yeah,
Spoiler
Oh,
alert.
okay.
whatever. Everybody's played this game, Jim, except for John.
So are they
And
like
he can just deal with it.
were mammoths, maybe? That they're like first look like
I
werewolves
guess.
and then transform into
Where
full-sized
mammoths?
oh,
mammoths.
dude, that would be the best.
Mm-hmm. But they're already werewolves. But then they transform again into like their ultimate form is these mammoths that attack you and have like snowstorm attacks. They blow out of their trunks.
Ah, dude, a werewolf that turns into a mammoth. It's like, what if there was a werewolf that was also an animorph, and its
Whoa.
animorph was a mammoth?
Mm-hmm. But you rip like Bioblast just kills everything on screen, so just use that. Just use that.
Yeah, just use that.
You don't run into any tricky battles, even that snail.
Whoa,
Yeah, you get into the mine and you fight a slug boss called Welk
Mm-hmm.
that you're told stores electrical energy and to not attack its shell.
Mm-hmm.
So the boss, you can attack it like any other boss, but then he'll retreat into his shell a few times, and the trick is to just calm your little thumb down and not attack it until it comes back out.
And it explains this to you on screen pretty much, that if you attack it,
It
it's like,
does,
hey, don't
yes.
attack the shell. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Come on. I tried using Bioblast on the little ratties that are in the cave, and those get healed by Bioblast.
Oh,
Oh.
Tricky.
Because rats love garbage and shit.
Mm-hmm. You know what they don't love?
Garbage and shit.
They don't love Wii Fit boards, Vanessa.
Murderer.
John, you're like traumatized by your murder of that small
I
rat.
am. I don't like killing things. However, I eat meat, so I'm really a hypocrite.
That's right. Think about that for the rest of the
I will.
episode. So we get to the Esper and the girl like reacts to it, and Biggs and Wedge get vaporized.
Yeah. Well, first Wedge does, and then Biggs is like, "Hey, what? Wedge?
What's going on?
Hey, buddy. I felt really bad for them.
Mm-hmm. I think they were in love.
Me too.
Aw.
But they were part of the Empire.
Well, so are we.
How many
I
love
guess not
stories
John,
were cut
But Matt,
short
Jim, and I
on the
are.
Death Star?
Oh. Aw.
So, the girl wakes up in the village. We get to name her. Default name is Terra. We're just gonna call her Terra.
I called her Tercel, because I name all my characters after cars.
We're told by the guy in the building that she wakes up in that we're gonna go hook her up with some folks called the Returners, which is a dumb name for a resistance group, by the way, who are a resistance group fighting against the Empire.
They're just trying to return to the way things used to be.
Oh,
But that's not a very cool name.
No.
They just
Like-
want to make the world of balance great again.
yeah. See, that's kind of what it sounds like a little bit with a name like Returners.
Now I don't
I don't know.
like them anymore.
The Returners sounds like an advocacy group for taking your Blockbuster DVDs back on time.
It
They work
reminds me
hand
of
in
in
hand
the
with the Rewinders.
in the ElfQuest comic series, there was a group called the Go Backs, and they
Oh.
wanted to go back to where they came from.
Oh.
Vanessa, I started reading some ElfQuest recently, and I was like, oh yeah, this isn't very good.
It's not for adult men.
I liked it when I was like a teen. I mean, it's not like I always thought it was bad. I enjoyed it at one point, but
Yeah.
I decided to try to do a reread because the whole series is on Comixology, and I was like,
No, it's not for grown-ups.
Do you think Avalanche is a better name than the Returners?
Yes.
Yes. First of all, number one, Avalanche sounds cool. Second of all, Avalanche, I don't know. That's all I got.
Yeah, so
Although Avalanche is more of a terrorist organization.
I think they both are, aren't they?
Are the Returns a terrorist organization? What acts of terrorism do they commit?
From the
Avalanche
Empire's
sure commits acts of
perspective,
terrorism.
I don't know. Let's keep tabs on it. None so far, I would say.
do you think that Avalanche is a better name than Black Mesa?
No. Black Mesa's pretty cool. So
Black Mesa is the name of the laboratory, though, and not the resistance group.
so this
Do you think Black Mesa is a better name than Jedi?
Yes.
It's pretty cool. So Jim, this old man who rescues Terra, does he get a name?
I don't know.
He's just old man, and he removes her slave collar, which makes the screen all wiggly.
I just want to put this out there. Every time I say I don't know when we're talking about this game, it makes me afraid because I know that one of our listeners is going to pick up on it, and I'm going to hear about it later.
And you know which one of our listeners it's going to be.
You just fucking keep it to yourself, guys. All right? Okay?
So why does that
You
Esper...
never complained before. We're always like this.
It's definitely
You know what's funny? You know what it makes me think of? I listened to the Flaphouse did a Justice League episode recently, a movie that I've watched like 3 times recently, and I was like, it was maddening how wrong they got everything. And not even like just opinion-wise, but like how like wildly they misinterpreted scenes that were obviously meant to be the opposite of what they were saying. And I was like, what the fuck? What did you watch?
There's a movie that they covered, I believe it's called In Time, starring
yeah.
Justin Timberlake.
That was one of the first
And-
episodes I listened to, and I was yelling at the podcast. So go
Yes,
on.
because they describe one character as Justin Timberlake's character's girlfriend when she is in fact his mother. And it totally changes sort of the idea of the movie if you think this is just like his girlfriend or whatever. So it's like clear they were not paying attention at all.
That
But
movie's
that's okay.
terrible, though. But that podcast is terrible, and that's why I hate it
How
and
dare
have never
you?
listened to it.
What
and will
are you
never listen
talking
to it.
about? It's our favorite podcast.
I certainly have not listened back to the last like 150 episodes in the last month.
Oh, wow.
Elliot
been
liked a
bored.
comment of mine on Facebook.
All right, enough about the flop house.
Starfucker. Jesus Christ.
So Terra reacts like with
Am I
lightning.
going to get away with calling Vanessa a starfucker and nobody's going to call me out on that?
If the shoe fits. Now,
Say something untrue and we'll correct
yeah.
you.
So yeah, Terra got like lightning between her and that Esper, and it like knocked her unconscious, and that's how I guess the old man was looking for her or something. He rescued her and takes off her crown, and now she's no longer controlled.
She's free.
She spends a good chunk of this episode in a semi-conscious or unconscious state.
True.
Mm-hmm.
And even when she is conscious in the second half, she doesn't do much or say much.
It's an Edgar show, man.
So
Good, though, because Edgar is delightful.
the girl had like, there's some people knocking at the door, and they're like, "Bring us the witch. These are the townspeople."
Knocking on.
Yeah, we want to
Knocking
burn
on
the
heaven's
witch.
door?
We want to burn the witch.
Yep, they want to kill poor Terra. And old man is like, "Terra, run through the back door and go through the mines."
And she's like, I don't even know what's happening, but okay, bye.
Yep, and we do
And
that.
she uses her fire magic to set fire to all the weird mechanic guys who live in the mines and throw wrenches at her.
Mhm.
That was
Yeah, what's up with those guys?
Jerks.
Wow. They're like fixing their
Wrench
cars
men.
in there or something.
I guess.
Some
And those
real
guys are
grease
real
monkeys.
jerk because every time they die, they're like, "Ugh, one last thing," and throw their last wrench at you.
Ugh.
Yeah, they're
Okay, but
called
these
grease
people are
monkeys,
just
aren't
trying,
they?
like, we're all like, oh, they want to kill her because she's a witch. And that's not true. They want to kill her because she's a fucking stormtrooper, y'all.
Yeah, she's a real Finn.
Yeah.
Magic Finn.
She's
a
not even a
magic
Finn at this point. She doesn't even know what the fuck's going on.
She doesn't. She has
I'm-
amnesia, of course.
But that's not their fault for not knowing that. They just want to kill the stormtrooper. And I don't disagree with that. You should try to kill the stormtroopers.
Maybe you should try to put the stormtrooper on a fair trial so you can determine if she was acting under some kind of undue influence like a slave crown.
You're just playing into the stormtroopers' hands, Vanessa. They own the courts.
But it was very obvious this old man knew who she was before she even got there. They know what's happening, and they're like, his whole goal is to rescue that girl.
He must have a name because you do revisit him later on.
Yeah, let's call him Chuck.
Let's call him Chuck.
Yeah.
I can see
Chucky.
my maker's mark on my sideboard. It's saying, hey, Vanessa, come get me. I'm delicious in your mouth.
No, don't eat cyborgs.
Oh, okay.
So Terra runs away from the village, and she gets cornered in the mines and falls through the floor and becomes unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, we meet a Mr. Locke, who is a seemingly
protagonist of the
bumbling treasure hunter.
He is?
I'd call him the first real protagonist of the game.
No.
Is he the Han Solo of the game?
Is he?
No, he's a little
Is he?
nicer. He's too nice.
Yeah.
He's kind of like an Indiana
Okay.
Jonesy, just
Yeah.
He's too
Well-
not
naive.
quite as dashing, I guess.
He's a douche.
He's your skinny, curtains haircut, JRPG guy.
He has a dumb
He
hat.
would be
He's
played
kinda
by...
he's kind of Chaz-esque.
If they had made a Final Fantasy VI movie in the 90s, he would have been played by Jonathan Brandis.
Ooh. Yeah, I could see that. Maybe a bit older.
Wait, who's Jonathan Brandis?
Sequest.
The man who invented curtains.
Yeah.
When I think of curtains and the 90s, I think of Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Jonathan Brandis was he in Medicine Woman, Dr. Quinn as well?
He was in a ton of stuff.
was
He
that
was in
Chad
Sidekicks.
Allen?
Oh, I know who you're talking about. He was in Stand By Me.
Was he? I don't know.
I don't think so.
He played Jeffrey Stand By Me.
I know Chad. I always mix up Jonathan Brandis and Chad Allen, but I know Jonathan Brandis had a lot of problems with his homosexuality and killed himself, which is kind of a bummer.
Oh wait, maybe he wasn't in Stand By Me. I'm thinking of a different guy.
Are you thinking
I'm
of this
thinking
kid?
of
Oh.
I'm thinking of that.
Oh,
Phoenix
there's Locke.
guy.
Look, there's Locke
Or
right
River.
there.
Yeah, there he is.
We are
Are you
looking
thinking
at
of
a
this
big picture of
kind
Jonathan
of a tiny
Brandis.
David Bowie?
Yeah.
Anyways, Locke comes in. We learn that he's a treasure hunter.
You guys keep talking. I'm going to learn more about Jonathan Brandis.
Okay.
He is a thief / self-proclaimed treasure hunter, and the old man of the house says that he needs to protect Terra and get her to the returners.
Ladybirds.
He was Bastion in the Neverending Story 2.
He was
Ooh.
in Ladybirds. He was in
Ladybugs.
Sidekicks with Chuck Norris.
Ooh.
Yeah, I said that. He was
That's
in
not a
Sidekicks.
real movie.
Skydeskicks.
Skydeskicks.
The movie where he imagines Chuck Norris is his best friend, and they go
Aw.
on imaginary adventures together.
He wasn't in as much stuff as, for some reason, I thought he was. That
He
guy...
was really young when he died.
Yeah, man, stage parents,
Yeah.
man, they're the worst.
It seems to really screw up kids. It screws up
Yeah, I
adults.
does.
totally agree with that. Don't fucking put your kids in showbiz, folks.
Yep.
There's got to be some child stars that made it through okay. What about
There are
old
some.
fucking directed Han Solo? What's his fuck?
And some Almflem.
No,
No,
directed.
that's the actor. You're thinking of the kid that played Opie.
Yeah.
Uh,
and then he was in
Ron
the
Howard.
fucking Fonzie show.
Ron Howard.
What about
yeah.
that
Yeah.
squinty-eyed kid? What's in the Inceptions and all of that? Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Oh.
Joseph
He
Gordon-Levitt.
seems fine.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you're right.
Leo DiCaprio seems okay too. He was in Growing Pains.
Soleil
true.
Moon Fry. Leo DiCaprio does not seem okay.
No.
Oh, that's true. If you're in the Pussy Posse, you did not turn out okay.
A
Yeah.
lot of it seems to have something to do with whether or not you continue to have success or start to decline.
Mm-hmm.
Because the ones we're talking about are the ones that have continued to have had success in some ways. And it seems like maybe growing up as some sort of child star, you never learn how to cope with, not being successful.
I think
And it turns you into a psychopath.
part of it is the parents. If your parents like stole all your money, that usually is a bad sign. That happens like 50% of the time.
Yes, yeah.
So let's
Gross.
move away from that bummer.
Yeah, we're like
Wow.
10 minutes into Final Fantasy VI.
Our listeners are going to be so pissed we're not talking about Final Fantasy VI more.
He had a talking dolphin friend.
Yep.
Rob Schneider was not in it because that's not the name of the guy. It's
Roy
Scheider?
Roy Schneider.
Roy Scheider, that's Jaws.
that was him.
It was him, yeah.
Yeah, he was in
Oh,
Sequest.
was it the same guy?
Yeah.
He was captain of the Sequest.
Wow, that guy had a very nautically themed career. Good for him.
I never watched that show because it was on at the same time as Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, which I watched instead.
Remember the first season of that where Kat was in it and she was the
Yes.
best character?
What the fuck are we talking about?
And then they were like, well, we're not going to do that anymore.
Yep. All right, so
Remember how that show basically never had Superman in it and it was the worst, but like I still watched it a lot?
so
I think it was smart not to have Superman in it very much because he looked
Yeah.
dorky.
You're probably
Final
right.
Fantasy VI decides to really peak early by suddenly boosting your party by 10 Moogles or
Yeah.
11 Moogles.
Does this qualify as a bullshit mini game? What happens here?
Yeah, sort of.
A little, yeah. A little bit.
You have to so Locke comes in to protect Terra. There's like a guard or there's like I don't know, some military guy and his crew there. And you have to position you can position the Moogles around the field to intercept the bad guys to protect Terra, and you win when you defeat the Colonel guy.
It's like a tower defense game almost.
Yeah, it's like protecting the Mako reactor in Final Fantasy VII.
Ooh.
I found it pretty easy if you just position your Moogles, like two of the parties at a choke point, and then go through with your third one and attack everything in your path till you get to the boss.
And you can move them around freely. So you don't even have to do anything with the Moogles. You can just take Locke and run around the battlefield and fight all the people.
What was your favorite Moogle name? I think mine's Mug.
I don't remember their names.
There's some really cute ones. Like Magog or Mugog and stuff. There's some very adorable. And the Moogles in this game are so cute.
They are amazing.
And they all have very deadly weapons, like morning stars and spears. And Mog learns some dances. You can sort of level up Mog a little bit. He's their leader.
They're amazing. They're the best.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I think that the box art for this game just had a Moogle on the front of it. And what better selling point could there be?
This game has so much new Moogles in it and so much chocobos, and it's fantastic. So this little mini game, you don't really have to do it. You can just run and kill the boss. I just killed all the enemies, and they're more wolfmens that turn into mammoths. I don't know if you noticed that.
I did not.
We did talk about that.
But there are more of them. I'm saying there's more. And then you fight the boss, which is just a dude.
Yeah, just a dude.
Like a soldier.
He's
I tried to steal from him because Locke is a thief with some steely things, but it kept saying could not steal over and over and over again. And I was like, oh, fine. So I just killed it.
And then once we do that, Terra wakes up and we find a secret entrance out of the mines, which we are explicitly told to remember later, so that might come up again. And then we're told that we're going to go to Figaro to talk to the king of the castle.
Figaro.
I did go to the beginning adventurers school, which is just outside of Narshe, to steal. Basically, I just raided their chests. They tell you how to play the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all really
I didn't know
stupid,
that.
obvious bullshit. Like, there is no information to be learned that you did not learn within seconds of picking this game up.
Well, if you've never played an RPG before, I guess it's useful. And it does tell you what the glowing lines around you mean, which I never remember. I'm like, oh, what's the status effect again?
Oh, one thing that really threw me off was one of my characters got poisoned, and every time you take a step, the screen gets all fuzzy.
Yes.
That freaked me out.
This is one of those dumb games where the status effects carry over. Like, stop it, games. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
The first spell that Terra learns is Poisona, which is useful.
Mm-hmm.
It might be called something else in Jim's game, though, like Detox, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
So Figaro, it's out in the desert. And one thing I did note, when they're walking there at night, it's snowy, but when you get there in the morning, I guess all the snow's melted, and there's just like green grass outside of Narshe.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's snowy up in the mountains. Maybe they came over the mountains, like from the other direction.
Well, they did say they're coming at the town from the east, which is weird because it's like surrounded by mountains in that way.
Yeah. That's why it was unexpected and effective.
I guess so.
Yeah, so we get to Figaro, and they seem to know who Locke is, which is convenient. So they let us in the castle, and then we go talk to Edgar, who seems to really take a shining to Terra as he hits on her immediately.
He is the king of Figaro. He's blonde and dashing. He has a ponytail.
Oh.
And we're told he's quite brilliant. He's a mechanical genius.
He's a real Tony Stark. He's a mechanical genius ladies man with a ponytail.
Oh,
I find his cavorting really entertaining. Like, I was afraid he was going to be too, like... I was afraid he was going to come off like a pervert, but he just seems to come off like a ladies' man, and I think he's delightful.
I think Vanessa and I can have a counter argument to that with some of the women that he has hit on.
Yes, if you decide to take the time to explore Figaro Castle, which is just plonk in the middle of a desert, you run across, first
Where
I believe,
castles be?
a very elderly nun or nurse of some sort who talks about how Edgar hit on her.
Mm-hmm.
And
What did she say?
She's like, that Edgar is gross. He won't stop hitting on me. And she's a high priestess in the translation I'm
That's
playing.
right. That's the priestess.
And there's also a little child who says that Edgar has promised to marry her when she grows up.
Okay, give me a break.
I mean, I can understand that just being something he says as a joke. But yeah, also Locke is like, hey, I bet you didn't think I knew a king, did you, huh? Huh? Wink.
Yeah, and she's like, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, Terra is, so the king is going on and on about her beauty, and Terra's like, okay. And he's like, oh, I guess my flirting isn't working with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which only makes him want her more.
That's not a thread that I've picked up on, and I liked later on he mentioned something along the lines of how he had flirted with somebody because it was only courteous. Like, he feels like he has to hit on everybody just to like show them that he likes them, just to be nice.
He's just being
like,
nice,
no,
man.
look, I would give you the D too. I would. I really like. I like you. We're friends. D. No. But he wants to give people that D.
I think there can be, in some situations, a social pressure to be flirty with everybody a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Especially when you're a hotshot royal celebrity like Edgar is.
Mm-hmm. Like them types in like the old movies that are always like, oh, I guess that's what he's supposed to be. It's sort of like, oh, hello, ladies, meeting a fine lady like you and then smooching her hand no matter who the lady is. That type.
Dude's just got class.
But he seems like a pretty cool guy because you go to the shops with him in your party and they're like, King Edgar, I can't take your money. And he's like, oh, you have a family? Let me pay you for your goods. And
then you buy him a chainsaw and an auto crossbow and a bioblaster.
And a
the
drill.
Auto crossbow is the best thing ever.
The auto crossbow is great. The drill is great. The chainsaw, you don't actually buy it here. You get that later.
Sorry, you're right.
But when you do, it's great.
What does the auto crossbow do?
That kills everything on screen at this point.
Yeah.
It's really
I
overpowered.
missed that.
And by the way, the merchants here in the castle are not easy to find. They're behind doors that don't look like doors, so you could easily miss them.
Yeah, they're right by the throne room, basically.
Yes, yeah, they're right off the throne room. But yeah, those tools that you can buy, the auto crossbow made everything very, very easy.
I missed the auto crossbow, and I'm bummed out about that. I didn't quite understand his gimmick for a while. The item use thing. I didn't really know what was going on with that. So I didn't use it for a long time. Until I got the chainsaw and somebody was like, no, you use that. And then I started using it and I was like, oh.
Yeah, both him and his brother have gimmicks, for sure.
Yeah.
Non-MP using gimmicks, which is the best.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So we run around Figaro a little bit. We eventually find Edgar again. He gets back in the party. And then Kefka
there's the
shows
cutscene you can find where it shows them as kids, where the father's dying and Edgar's twin brother is like, I'm out of here. I don't want to be king. You can be king. And he just runs away. And then you get to name him. I guess you can call him Sabin if you're boring.
Hey.
Sabin or Sabin? I've been saying Sabin in my brain.
Sabin.
Okay, Sabin's fine.
Sabin.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So then Kefka shows up. Kefka.
Kefka shows up, who, like, Kefka's got a reputation in video game land as being a very terrifying villain, and he seems like a real idiot so far in the game.
He's literally a clown.
You do get a flashback when Terra gets knocked out in the mines to him programming her and her setting fire to lots of people and him really enjoying it. Like,
that's true.
Really enjoying it.
Yeah, he's a real sadist.
He just seems like a cartoony bad guy.
And he's setting fire to his own troops.
He does seem to really enjoy setting fire to things, too, because that's what he immediately does in Figaro.
Because he wants the girl.
Sometimes, and I don't want to spoil, but sometimes when you fight him, sometimes you will fight a very cool-looking, kind of floating, like, detailed monster sprite of him. And sometimes you will fight the terrible-looking character sprite of him, and it's very annoying because you never know what you're going to get.
I like his floating sprite. He's a fancy clown. He points his ankles like a dancer and has a big smile on his face. He's just loving life.
He does have this whole Cirque du Soleil kind of vibe, like French super grotesque mime thing.
Scary.
And he wants Terra, and Edgar's like, oh, who? I don't know. We got a lot of girls here. So many girls. Let me tell you, I am knee-deep in puss.
Yeah, shut up.
That is what he says, not in those exact terms. But
that's not in my translation.
You know, they took some weird turns with the GBA one.
Puss. Yeah, the translation was done by 90s Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh.
Anyways, Kefka doesn't believe him. Doesn't believe anything about all that puss, and sets fire to the castle.
Where's all the pus coming from? Is what I don't get. Does somebody have gout? How is he knee deep in that much pus? Well, is there somebody that's just made of zits? I don't understand.
Maybe they haven't invented antibiotics at this
point.
Hey, just FYI for our listeners, the new show Dr. Pimple Popper is casting now. If you or someone you know has something that needs to be popped on television, you can get a free trip and all your medical expenses covered.
Listen, if you share one of those videos and I stumble across it on my timeline, you're getting hidden forever.
I will not. I will fight you in real life. I will ban you
forever. That's so gross, man. Anyways, Edgar pulls a real cool guy move here and jumps from the castle and onto a chocobo.
Yeah.
And escapes, and then orders his castle to sink into the sand.
It feels like when Edgar shows up, it feels like we finally have met the first real protagonist of the game.
Pretty much.
But yeah,
and
he takes Locke and Terra with him as well.
On the backs of their chocobos. And
they leave, and the castle goes into the sand.
And Kefka's like left in the sand. He didn't like sync with the castle, and he says like he sort of has this at the beginning like a Cobra Commander kind of futility to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's like,
Mhm.
wee hee hee.
after them. And so you get the mechs attacking you, and at this point I used fire, and Edgar and Locke are like, did you see that?
Yeah, they
She's
freak out. It's pretty
magic."
cute.
That's a really cool little thing they put in
Yeah.
the game. I thought was fun.
They're in the middle of the fight, and they both face the screen with their jaws dropped, and they're like, "Oh, oh!"
That was magic. But they're like, we won't objectify you. We'll treat you like a normal person who just happens to have super powerful techniques.
Mhm.
Although my auto
Yeah, I think they
crossbow is more
say-
powerful.
I think Edgar says specifically like, okay, I'm not gonna make a big deal about this, but that's crazy.
But they kind of do. But they're trying to keep it
Yeah.
together.
Yeah. So we're supposed to go
So they're
from here
willing
to
accept robots.
Mm-hmm.
well,
Okay.
steampunk, man.
Yeah, we established magic has been gone for 1,000 years. Steampunk is totally in.
I have seen no steam.
Wasn't the castle like a steam castle?
Yeah.
The
and
castle's a steam
Narshe.
Is it?
castle. Narshe is all steam all the
Mhm.
time.
Lots of steam in Narshe.
In fact, if you go back and talk to the people when you are able, they're like, yeah, this town runs on steam.
No steam, as I said, at all in this game.
It's just all steam. It's like 100% steam. The castle is running
Ooh,
on steam.
steamy.
There's big furnaces that produce the steam, so the castle can like go underground. And how cool is that? That the castle is like this crazy
It's pretty
burrowing
great.
machine.
Because its sides, like, come in. It's like
Mhm.
burp, burp, and then it sinks.
It has a
It's a submarine.
transformation sequence.
Mm-hmm.
It does. It's pretty neat.
It's a submarine.
So these people are willing to
house.
accept that there is a castle that can go under the sand and travel through the desert.
Mm-hmm.
But a woman uses a fireball, and they're like, what?
I mean, they accept it. I don't know why you keep saying they won't accept it. They're just surprised.
Also, how is a fireball magic, but wolfmen turning into mammoths is not?
Now, Matthew, we have rockets that can take us to the moon. But I bet if you saw a woman shoot fire out of her hands, you would be like, what? That's weird.
I see women shoot fire out of their hands all the time. No, that's not true. I'm lying. But I do see women shoot ice out of their eyes. Oh! A tick-tock duck! I'm Andrew Dice
Or
Clay
acid
over
out
here!
of their
Something.
mouths.
I don't know.
Get it? That's terrible. So we go to South Figaro now. This is kind of a pit stop. There's nothing super important that happens here, but there's a lot of goodies here. If you go to the mansion and find the secret room, you can find a bunch of cool stuff like 3,000 gold and an elixir and some other stuff.
Whoa.
And there's a ninja there with his dog, and
Ooh, yeah.
it says in the translation I have right now, it says this ninja will kill his best friend for $1, basically. I think
Could
it's
that be the dog?
I think it's the mother. It says he would kill his own mother in the original translation.
Yeah.
That sounds more in
Yeah.
line with what I saw.
I really like the idea that it's his dog. Like, you can just walk up to him and be like, "Hey, here's $1. Kill that dog."
Mm-hmm.
And
He'd be like,
just
"Yeah,
get
all
that
right."
Slice.
There's
Fuck
a lot
it.
of dogs around. Aw, that dog's amazing. Anyway, when I was 16, I thought this ninja was the coolest.
Maybe it's the terrible iOS character sprites, but I think he looks stupid.
I was a teenager. Teenagers like ninjas.
Yeah. It's true.
Teenagers like ninjas.
Mm-hmm.
Remember how Snake Eyes was the coolest G.I. Joe?
Yes, although I think Storm Shadow was the coolest. Well, he was
That's
Cobra,
true.
but
That's true.
he was
That's
cool.
very true.
Yeah.
In retrospect, they're all really stupid.
Monster.
Name one. Name one cool G.I. Joe.
Lifeline, the medic.
What about
Chuckles.
the
Oh my
lady with,
God.
Chuckles
like, the
was
hair
an
over her
undercover
face?
comedian. I mean,
I remember that one, actually. I can name one, actually. What was his name?
Roadblock. He talked in
Major
rhyme.
Steel.
Shipwreck was
Hard body rock face. He was in the movie. He was a wrestler. Who was the wrestler?
Oh, the hot one.
Sergeant
Sergeant
Slaughter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sergeant
All of
Slaughter's cool.
Slaughter's Marauders were pretty hot. Also, Jinx was really cool. She was the Red Lady Ninja,
I do remember thinking Jinx was pretty cool.
and she was from Storm Shadow's clan. So, okay, I know way too
Yeah.
much about GI Joe, so let's move away from that.
But she couldn't talk, right? Or no? It's
No,
Snake
she
Eyes that
could.
couldn't
Snake
talk.
Eyes couldn't talk.
This is
Was she blind?
stupid.
She had something going on.
I think she might have.
You guys suck.
She
She
was
was
definitely blind,
unlucky.
though, right?
I think she was unlucky and
Bored.
used her.
Oh yeah.
She weaponized her
On
unluckiness.
Me too. Let's talk about Final Fantasy VI, Jim.
Honk shoe,
Yeah.
honk shoe.
So you go to
do-
Narshe,
you
you do
do-
your shopping. There's a cantankerous old man who loves cider.
South Figaro, not Narshe.
South.
Whatever.
You also learn one interesting piece of information from a lady in a house who says that her husband, who's a martial arts, or I don't know, was that his wife? I don't.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't remember.
Duncan's wife.
Duncan's wife, yeah, says that her husband, Master Duncan, went to the mountain to train people.
Yeah.
And so that's our next stop is Mount Cot.
Now,
Is that what it's called?
the old man in the cider stuff, I don't think you can do this yet, right?
No, but you
Yeah.
can.
I
meet
couldn't find
him,
any cider for that
and
guy.
He's
I
like,
looked.
I love cider. Get the fuck out.
Yeah, I think that comes back later. But on the way to Mount, was it Cots?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Cots.
There is a house, and you can like examine all the items, and Edgar's like, this smells like his favorite flower. That's his favorite stew.
Mm-hmm.
He says like that's his favorite dishware.
Mhm.
Which like what?
So apparently his brother lives there. He's hinting towards.
Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
that pillow smells like his favorite farts.
And you go outside.
Why would his pillow smell like farts?
There's an old man there that's like, oh yeah, Sabin just went to
You
the
don't fart into a pillow?
with
Monster.
Duncan and Duncan's son.
Yeah. They're
Duncan's son.
Duncanson.
Mm-hmm.
So we go to the mountain, which is a pretty straightforward little dungeon.
Duncanson. His father worked as a Duncan.
And you'll notice, as you move across certain screens, there's like a shadow figure that's chasing you and eluding you and is always around following you. And then when you get to the end of the mountain area, you run into some asshole named Vargas who's like, you shouldn't have come here. And then he makes you fight him and his two bears.
Yeah.
Woof.
He's like, I'm just hanging out with my bear friends.
Mm-hmm. Same.
This is Man Mountain. We have private man time.
I wasn't prepared for this fight and he killed me.
Oh.
Oh no.
But then I went back and just used the auto crossbow a couple times and it was
Yeah.
fine.
Those bears are nothing. You can just rip through
Yeah.
those. You can't kill Vargas though, because eventually he just uses his like wind attack and just blows you all away.
But
Mhm.
who shows
he
up
blows
to
you
save
so
us?
hard.
Who shows up to save us? But a Mr. Sabin.
I thought it was just
Yeah.
another one of those bears.
He is so big and burly.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Sabin
He
man.
kind of has a crew cut.
He's got the Guile kind of haircut almost.
Yeah.
He does have a guile, doesn't
Yeah. Speaking of Street Fighter commands,
He's got a rat tail.
the only
Mhm.
way to win this fight is to learn at least one of his Street Fighter commands,
Mm-hmm.
which is his blitz technique. So you can do you can do a fireball motion, but the one they want you to use is like right, left, right, A, I think. Or left, right,
It was
left,
just
A.
left, right, left on mine.
Oh, okay. On mine
It was left, right, left, and then you have to hit a punch button. There's just one button underneath
Yeah.
the directional pad.
Oh,
I
right.
think it was A for me. And he does this like crazy super punch on Vargas, and Vargas is like, "What? My father taught you that?"
Yeah, the whole beef here is that Vargas murdered his father because his father was Duncan, by the way. He murdered his father because he didn't name him as his successor. He named Sabin.
Or he thought
he
that
taught
Sabin was going to be his successor. I don't think Sabin was even named his successor.
Yeah. In the end, he was like, "You were wrong. Your
Oh.
dad was going to choose you."
And he's like, liar.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. One thing that did make me laugh though is that after you beat Vargas and you go into the cave, you speak to the person in there, and they say something really awkward like, "I'm so glad my husband, Master Duncan, taught you all of his secret techniques." It's like that's kind of dumb.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we go in here and we get Sabin in the party now. And we just kind of run up the street to the returner's base.
Up the street?
Up the
Yeah.
street.
Yep.
Yeah.
Up
Up the
It's a
avenue.
valley.
It's a valley. We go up the valley.
And
Through the valley.
and the returner's face is like a secret base built into a cliff.
Yes.
And you meet Bannon there.
Yeah, he's a beardy
Mhm.
boy.
He is.
Curtains.
He looks a bit like Neil Gaiman
Mhm.
in his character portrait.
And he's like,
Does he?
hey,
No, he looks a bit like Alan Moore.
Oh,
in his
that's
character.
your right.
I was gonna say
Yeah,
Alan Moore. I was
mixed
like,
those two
what?
up. Sorry. Yes.
Don't do that. They're very
Okay.
different people.
He looks like Alan Moore in his character portrait. A wild wizard man. And
Curtains?
I guess Edgar kind of explains what's going on. And
Yeah.
then Bannon is like, oh, I guess Terra's our last and final best hope.
yeah, because they like even before they got there, they sort of knew that there's a witch coming with crazy magic powers, and so they like part of their operation was to get her on their side. And now they're like, "Can you please help us, please?"
And she's just
Yeah,
like,
Bannon didn't Bannon already know about the 50 men thing?
Yeah, and she when she hears about it, she's kind of freaked out. She didn't know she murdered all those people.
Yeah, she's like, I didn't ever take on 50 men at once. And he's like, you sure did.
You killed
Got it
all
on
those
video
people.
right here.
And she's like, "Oh, that upsets me a little bit."
Mm-hmm.
But they want her to like use her powers for good. But they're like, "Hey, if you want to go back and join the Empire, totally cool. You know, no harsh buzzing, no shade, brah. You want to go back? That's fine too."
They're not going to slave crown her,
Yep, they are leaving it up to her as to what she wants to do.
which is pretty great.
Except it's not really.
Oh.
Because Bannon explains the situation, then like it's like, you know what? I'm tired. I'm gonna go to bed. And you can get up and you can talk to Sabin and Edgar and Locke about your situation.
And they're all just like, please, please do it. Please.
Well, Edgar's like, I know what being put into a situation you're not ready for is like, and you know, I have sympathy for you. And Bannon's like, pretty please join the Watonos. And
please.
if you say no, you can get the Genji glove from Bannon's supply room,
Nice.
which is a super powerful relic that gives you 2 weapon slots instead of 1. So you can have 2 weapons at once.
Oh, shit. I wish I had that.
Yeah, that one's pretty good.
Can I go get it now?
No. There's more than one. You can definitely get one later for sure.
No, I'm gonna get that.
Yeah, get that
You
Genji
kidding?
glove.
I'm gonna get it.
Get it.
It sounds like we're there then.
We are. That's actually where we're gonna stop for this chunker.
Oh.
Vanessa, where are we playing for the next chunker?
I think the next chunker we will play, there's sort of a split and 3 disparate little storylines that follow different characters, and we will play until they are all reunited.
Oh,
All right.
that
okay,
sounds
we'll
fun.
play through the end of the branching storyline.
Okay.
Guys, do Sabin last. Sabin's is hella long.
Yes, that's great advice. It doesn't matter because you'll have Locke, you'll have Terra and pals, and you'll have Sabin. And do Sabin last.
Because his is hella long.
His is the longest, and I think there are some other advantages if you do his last as well.
Oh,
But
okay.
I'm not sure on that.
Well.
Hmm.
And for bullshit mini games, there's just that little strategy tower defense game of keeping the monsters away from Terra with your Moogle buddies, which are all fun. I love them.
Moogle
I just wanna hang out in a cave with my
hanging
Moogle
out
buddies.
with my Moogle buddies, and they're just like Koopa.
That's all they say. Someone. I think it was during my live stream of this, Rob Schubert said his brother said to him while he was playing this, Kupo is their god.
What?
And then Rob Schubert convinced his friends that Kefka had a brother named Jeffka.
I like to think that Moogles are like Pokemon, and that they're actually Kupos, and that everybody just calls them the wrong thing, and that they're really mad about it. Like if you continue to call Pikachu Snorlax, he would be like Pika, Pikachu, Pikachu, Pikachu.
You can also ride on a chocobo, which isn't really a mini game, but it looks cool for the time, like Mode 7 graphics, like swirling around, and it's cute, and it goes like, wah! It doesn't make sense.
And you get that awesome chocobo song.
La 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 la. Did you know in Final Fantasy 13 they add lyrics to that song?
No.
That game is bad. What are you squarely against?
I'm not squarely against anything. And no, in fact, I'm roundly for the auto crossbow. Because that made the game very easy.
I'm roundly for the iOS ability to auto fast forward battles, because every game should have that. It has made playing through this game much, much faster. Vanessa.
I'm roundly for Terra. Especially when I was a teenage girl playing this Final Fantasy game. I thought it was really fantastic that you start with a female protagonist and she's super powerful. And a lot of the game is about how she's powerful and awesome. And it's great.
Cool.
I am
what about you, John?
Roundly for the GBA version having both a different and more interesting translation and a run button. So you don't have to equip the sprite shoes, which are a waste of time.
Ooh, I do have a run button in mine as well.
Ooh. I have to equip sprite shoes.
Boo.
Ooh, I'll do another one. I'm squarely against the terrible iOS controls. They are bad.
Oh, really?
Bad, 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 bad. How do you fuck a virtual D-pad up that bad? It's fucking insane. God,
it is bad.
Wow. Bad.
Is it bad though? Like
there are so many fucking iOS games that have virtual D-pads that work just fine. How is this one so fucking bad? Okay, you know what? Letters. We got a letter.
Ooh, I love letters.
Oh, we do have a letter. Let me read this sucker right here.
Do it. Do it with your mouth.
Okay, so
do it with the sounds that come out of your mouth. Use your vocal cords, vibrate them, shape those sounds around your tongue and lips, and make words.
Here we go. Here we go. It's coming out.
Yeah.
Hey guys and girl, I just wanted to write and tell you I'm a fan of the show. I drive a truck for a living and have plenty of time to listen.
Womp womp.
Have we read this before?
No.
Okay. I just started listening to you guys this past Monday, and so far I've gotten through your Chrono Trigger, Super Mario RPG, and Secret of Mana episodes. I really like the way you guys go play-by-play, and I can't even keep track of what's going on. I really like the way you guys go play-by-play and blow-by-blow and have a good time with it. I had
Any
found
truck
one
driver
podcast...
that doesn't do the wah-wah when you drive by him and pull your little arm like you're pulling a horn is not a good truck driver.
That's
Letter writer,
not
I hope that
true.
you are a good truck driver.
It can be unsafe to pull your horn and go womp womp. You should only do it when you think it won't startle or confuse other traffic.
Oh, God. You just hate it when children have fun, don't you?
Womp womp.
I had found one podcast that had played one of my favorites, Lufia 2.
Oh, I've never
I
played
was
Lufia
thinking,
2. John,
hells
have you played
yeah,
Lufia 2?
Lufia 2. Within a 2-hour show, all that had been said about the game was that you get an insect crush sword, fight a big spider, get capsule monsters, Maxim and Seelan get married, and Seelan may be a succubus.
Spoilers, bro.
And you fight 4 Sinistrals.
What?
Supremely disappointed, to say the least, so I do appreciate the time and work you guys put into going through every little thing. A big reason I wanted to write you guys was to get your opinion on a list I came across while listening to another show.
There are no other shows.
The list was
Square Roots
Top
is the
10
only show.
SNES RPGs. Now, a title like that, I thought, all right, here we go. There are some great RPGs for SNES. So I listened and just, holy shit, I was flabbergasted. Here's the list. 10, Chrono Trigger. Okay, that's an RPG. 9, ActRaiser.
Kinda.
8, Donkey Kong Country Diddy Kong's Quest.
Yep.
Not an RPG.
Absolutely belongs on the list, though.
Yep, I agree.
7, Mega Man Soccer.
Yeah.
You don't know shit about Mega Man Soccer if you don't think it's an RPG.
Yeah, exactly.
6, Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
Great RPG.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yes, excellent
5,
RPG.
Phantasy Star 4.
Yeah, we did.
Terrible
play that.
taste. This person has now just gone totally off the rails.
Oh.
4, Clue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Uh,
Yep.
The
3,
original RPG.
Project.
Yeah.
3, Project Octopath Traveler demo.
Okay, yep.
Definitely an
2,
RPG.
2, Final Fantasy
Yep.
3.
Nah, that game sucks.
1, Super Mario Brothers starring Bob Haskins.
Oh god, that's the best RPG ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the letter continues. I mean, fuck off, right? Clue, Mega Man
Come
Soccer.
on.
Anyways, just wanted to get your guys' thoughts. Love the show. Keep up the good work. Signed, Wes.
Wes, I have one thing to say to you, and that's I'm pulling my arm down. I'm doing the thing, Wes. You better be barring it right now, buddy.
I think that's a really good list. You know, it does go in some interesting directions, and I think that it's good that it's not just putting everyone's normal choices of Super Nintendo RPGs in the top, like Super Mario World or Barbie Quest.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Pick from those 10 games, what's the best game?
Clue. What's
Punch-Out.
special about Clue is that everyone has
John,
their
I also am
own
going to say Punch-Out.
unique abilities. Like you have Colonel Mustard's ability to call in a drone strike on a particular room if he thinks that the killer is hiding in it. You have Professor Plum's scientific inventions and deductive reasoning to get to the bottom of it. And, of course, you have Mrs. Peacock's ability to fan out her feather tail and frighten people because they think she suddenly has 100 eyes.
And also, Fifi
Yeah.
can poison the brandy. No,
Yes.
cognac.
And
Cognac, sorry.
Miss, is it Miss White, I believe? She just uses her sexuality in a way that's very empowering.
She does, especially with that maid outfit on.
Jim,
Fifi,
what do
for
you
sure.
think? Best game on the list.
Bob Haskins.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, you're boring, Jim.
Hoskins. Hoskins.
It says Haskins.
Yeah, but it's fine if you don't agree with the list. I think they did a really smart and informed job.
Yeah, great job. Webs or podcast we don't know.
Nor will we acknowledge.
Interesting point about Final Fantasy III. When
It's not a
I
good game.
was a baby, Final Fantasy VI, which we are playing now, was called Final Fantasy III in the United
What?
States.
No, really?
What?
Are you
It's
serious?
a true story.
What did they just skip 2 and 3? Oh no, 2.
E-
Yeah.
You mean 4
What?
and 5?
3, 4, and 5. That would be 3, 4, and 5. That's A, for fuck's sake. B, some sort of time travel wizardry must have occurred.
Yeah, because
Yes,
I definitely bought 7. It says 7 right on the CD case.
Yes,
Mhm,
but
mhm, mhm,
and look
mhm,
this up. I
mhm.
am not making it up.
Okay.
Final Fantasy VI was called Final Fantasy III in the United States, and I believe that what the United States called Final Fantasy II was actually Final Fantasy IV, and Final Fantasy V was not released here.
And
It's-
Seiken Densetsu 3 was called Final Fantasy Mystic Quest.
Oh, weird.
So the moral of the story is people out there trying to trick you.
Oh.
It's a lot happening in this
Let's
list.
finish this episode.
anyways-
Let's go to the store.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for your letter, Wes.
Our intro music for the series is the One Ups cover of Terra's theme. Check out the One Ups Bandcamp at theoneups.bandcamp.com, on iTunes as The One Ups, and their merch store at store.mustanenterprises.com.
We're going to go ahead and transition to our Patreon commercial.
Oh, boy.
And remind everyone that we do have a Patreon. The money goes to support the podcast and helps us keep churning out some sweet bonus content like our Level Up podcast.
The
We do ours, and then our revival of instant classics.
And the home of our once bonus episodes, now Patreon
That's
only
right.
episodes, Square Roots Versus.
Say
And we've got a new one of those coming out this month.
Yep. Have we announced that officially?
Nope. But let's
Okay.
do it. Let's do it.
Okay, yeah. So on the next
We are
Square Roots
now.
Versus episode, which is coming out sometime this month, we're playing.
To be the last
That's
day
right.
of the month.
We're
in
playing the Sailor Moon
July.
RPG.
Oh boy.
Which looks terrible.
In the name of the moon, it will punish you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I believe patron Stu is playing the Sailor Moon RPG
Yay.
right now, and
Oh,
has
good.
Well,
been
let's keep an
enjoying
open mind. Maybe it's great.
Who's writing the name penis in the show notes?
it. What?
I saw a penis show up and then disappear.
Okay, Jim, that sounds like something that you should probably see a doctor about.
So as part of our Patreon bonuses, we give shout outs to our patrons on the show. So let's go ahead and do that. Who wants to read the list this time?
Okay. Here I go.
Vanessa. Number 1, 8 == close parentheses tilde key.
All right. Sam Harrison, Devin Sloan, Danny Lucas, Cody Schwerin, James Plett, Greg Bailey, Race Jenkins, Joseph A. Rogers, Rob Schubert, Stu Skeel, Xavier Krieger, David
Oh,
Shook,
that's going the
Matthew
wrong way,
Jorgensen,
Vanessa.
Cowman
Those
Moser,
arrows should be pointing out.
No, it's Kiva. We're doing this for a while.
Kiva!
Kiva
For
Moser.
fuck's sake!
Samu Mitchell, Andrew Wyatt, Brian Stone, Aaron Bachman, Robert M. Pullum, Stan, Tracy Tanoff, Josh Anderson, Robert T., Ross Hartley, Tyler Petty, Brody Toy, Justin Ham, Bree Girth, Meredith Anderson, Brian Pitt, Ward Childress, Patrick Hoover, Patrick W. Bears, Wonder Swan, Miguel Torres, Resty Kamada, Tom, Lynn Setchell, Justin Benoit, Vanessa's mom, that's my mom, Cameron Show, Jonathan Ellsworth, and Cyril the Wolf.
Thank you to our
Woohoo.
new and existing donors.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Kiva, I added the
Yeah, but
correct pronunciation
we're
of
gonna
your
delete the
name
list
to our list.
because
so this
it
will
updates every month.
never happen again.
Kiva. I'm going to practice.
Well, that's it for this
So
episode of
sorry,
Square
Kiva.
Roots. As a reminder, you can send us an email to squarerootspodcast@gmail.com, and if it's good enough, we'll read it on the air. If you cannot be bothered to do that, come see us at our Facebook group, the Square Roots Podcast Group for smart, cool, very attractive people, or you can tweet at us. We are at Square Roots Pod.
Review and subscribe on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you screenshot your review and post on the Facebook group or Twitter, I'll tell you how you leveled up. And it's been like months, so come on, please just post a little review for me.
All right, everybody. Well, for Square Roots, I'm Jim Banks.
I'm Huggy Snuggy
I'm
Johnny.
Matthew Van Zandt.
And I'm Vanessa.
Bye.
Koopa,
Huggy
Koopa,
Snuggy
Koopa,
Johnny.
Koopa, Koopa,
Okay.
Koopa,
So I get-
Koopa, 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 Koopa.